Sometimes it's even hard to wrap your mind around the circumstances that leads to the exploitation of Africans throughout the world. It's hard to sometimes come to terms the wicked treatment, the brutality, the lack of respect, the lack of empathy, the lack of dignity and decency that some people harbor within themselves. Now, I am one that around for a little bit. I'm old enough to remember seeing many African nations get independence, seeing many Caribbean islands get independence, which in a sense, it's just something on paper because the infrastructure and everything that frame one mind, thought, philosophy, ideology, religious persuasion was all from the ones who colonized us, gave us a strong sense of their religion and used us to become more religious minded more than even think about our welfare and our dignity, because we become so religious minded that we have no time to think about the things that go on day to day in people day to day lives and to see some of the things. And looking over what I'm seeing going on in Africa and the Caribbean, it let me think a lot. And along the line of racial equality, along the apartheid system that still governs and rule the world. I remember when Nelson Mandela being arrested as a little boy. I remember that. And I remember his release. And he's one man that brought my consciousness to Africa as one born in Jamaica. I remember seeing the Soweto riots as a little boy and seeing the brutal treatment of the people of South Africa. And still do remember the countries that fight hard, very hard to keep the apartheid system going. And it's still fighting hard to keep the apartheid system going. They just shift it around. But in my mind and in my thinking and the things that I see, I firmly believe that they just shift it around and nothing really so much change. They just make some adjustments to tolerate. But the old engine is still running. When you look at economical sanctions, the least little thing that certain nation does, you got this group of people that believe that they should take sanction by crippling their financial ability, cripple their economy, cripple their people, bring their country to nothing. And it's so ironic to see, all these black countries that would go along with the apartheid system. Anytime the old mill ready to steam up and to fire up, all these black countries from the Caribbean to Africa, they get excited when the old apartheid system fire up, when embargo being launched and one after a poor nation, they don't come together and say, listen me, cut this out. We are not going along with it. They join in with the sanction and that, knowing that their term is coming up, because as long as you go against the master will, the master feel like, hey, I cannot tolerate this. Look at the way the police can just go around and shoot any black man in America, and you know that it will be a payday for them, you know what I mean? They go out, you know, it seemed like everybody ate the black. The black ate the black, the whites ate the black, the Chinese ate the black, the Indian ate the black, everybody ate the black. What's so about black people why we are so hated around the globe? And we are the one that quick to say that we love everybody. And yes, we should love people. But we are the one that suffer the brutal treatment of this racial system that's set up. You know, I believe that all the black countries from the Caribbean to Africa should get rid of anything that say apartheid, you know, out of their thinking. Get rid of it. Get rid of the system, the curriculum, the things that they taught. You know, you have to go back and sort of re-educate yourself to the things that is really necessary to give you a free mind. You know, I'm a big Bob Marley fan. I can tell you on that. When Bob Marley music couldn't play on Jamaica radio station, you know, I was a Bob Marley fan. Still is. You know, 1974 was the year that I really get into Bob Marley. You know, and from then, all my children grew up listening to Bob Marley. Yes, I play gospel, and along with my gospel music, you're gonna hear some Bob Marley. If you come in my car, you're gonna hear some Bob Marley. You know, because I love the simplicity of his lyrics that speak true to power. Africa, unite. You know, liberate yourself from mental slavery. Them blast off on them ego trip. You know, them not care for me, them not care for you. One love. You know, and you go on and on and on and on. Peter Touch, Mama Africa, legalize it. These are the music that you speak true to power. And that's the reason why the United States come to a conclusion that those music could not be played on the U.S. airwave. The government make that decision, not the radio station. The United States government make that decision that those music could not be played on the radio because it would influence the people, because they saw something long before, you know, the common man saw it, you know what I mean? Because when they do everything within their power. When they call the Berlin Conference and said, listen, we're going to split up Africa. And when we split up, we're going to take some, we're going to put them slavery, we're going to do this. And they lay out a foundation how Africa should be treated and how the Caribbean should be treated. 2023, why we don't have flight going direct from the Caribbean to Africa and Africa direct to the Caribbean? Why we gotta go all the way around the world before we come to Africa? It's a liberation thing right now. We gotta free our mind, our spirit, our soul. Get, you know, get into that thing to realize that if Africa is not united and Africa is not free, black people nowhere around the world will be free and treated with respect. You know what I mean? We have to come to that consensus to realize that it is time for the African nations come together. And when you hear these imperialists and these apartheidists who believe in racial division and separation, telling a black man to take sanction against another black man, to starve another black man, and want to send black people into war to kill each other. It is time and high time for us to think these things through. Literally and carefully think it through. When you're going to kill your brother and your sister, for somebody who don't care for you. But Bob said, them not care for me, them not care for you. Because they're on an ego trip. They blast off on their spaceship. And in beg Africa, how many years now? You know, when I learning to play music, Africa Unite was and One Love was the two Bob Marley song that I learned to play first. I used to practice that song, Africa Unite, for years, over and over and over and over. I practice it on the piano, practice it on the guitar. I want to learn that song. Africa, unite. Unite for the benefit of your people, man. Africa, the man beg him, say, unite, just unite for the benefit of your people. One Africa, one currency, one travel plan. Like the European. You don't need visa to travel around Europe. Since England cut themselves off from Europe, now England need visa to go into Europe. But the rest of Europe, travel visa free. If I'm leaving from California to Florida, I don't need another visa to go. Come on, Africa. Come on, Africa. Wake up. Just wake up for the benefit of your people. Just wake up for the benefit of your people. One travel plan. One currency. One Africa. When the white man came and chopped up Africa and divided up and make sure that you guys don't unite, because if you get back together in unity, their power structure and their power base done. The apartheid system in. The apartheid system is alive and well. All they do, they just rewrote certain things to make it look like it changed. Nothing changed where apartheid is concerned. Away no, because they can go into town and they might not put up black fountain and white fountain to drink from, but so we think that, everything is all well. If you want to know that everything is all well, go into Africa, go into the Caribbean, see, and then you travel Europe, and you travel the other countries around the globe, then you see that all is not well. All is not well. All is not well. The little traveling that I have done across this world, it made me realize more and more and more that all is not well. We need to see flight going direct from Africa to the Caribbean and from Caribbean to Africa. That's so people can get to interlock and know each other better. It is time, man. 2023, it is time. And I'm telling you, from a little boy, I'm following this thing. I remember when they take Nelson Mandela and put him in prison just because he's black. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison for being a black man, nothing else. Remember, England never wanted him to free. America never wanted him to free. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, none of these white countries didn't want him to be free. Stop. Let these people who don't care for you and don't care for me tell you to take out embargo, take out sanction, and invoke you to war, to kill your brother and to kill your sisters. Come on, it is time now for us to wake up. It's time now for us to wake up. Time now. You know what I mean? Time now for us. Don't join in the apartheid system. Don't join the apartheid system. Not because you may not be one in the field and you get a little blight in the house. So you say that the ones in the field is no good. It is time. Let us stand up for what is right. Stand up for the truth. Understand? The Bible said, the kingdom of God suffer violence, and the violence take it by force. So if the violence take it by force, and if you want to take it back, you have to take it back by force. So they give us religion. I never say godliness, They give us religion. That we concentrate on religion and don't concentrate on justice and righteousness. What is righteousness? To do right. So we make the teachers don't focus on that. Focus on if a neighbor have two boyfriend or two girlfriend or that. They tell her focus on that. That is more important than a baby hungry. That is more important than a baby sick and need medicine and food and clothes. And that is more important than a person live in the worst undignified way. But yet still, they tell her that their dogs got to get special treatment. If in America, if you ever, you can't even say a bad word to a dog. You can't ill-treat a dog, but look at the brutal treatment that the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa receive from these people. What more will it take for us to realize that we have to be supportive, stop killing one another? Stop it. Stop it. Stop taking sanctions against one another. Stop it. The white man wants sanction. Tell him to keep the sanction. But as long as a black child is going to suffer, he can do his sanction, but you're going to make sure that black baby get food to eat. You're not going to starve him or she to please the master. It is time for us to wake up and realize that and everything the master say, we must agree with it. Justice, equality for all. We cannot just keep on doing the same old thing over and over and over and over. You know what I mean? Look, on the long flight you have to take for go Africa. If Caribbean people should be traveling back and forth. Every Caribbean country, every black country should have an embassy in Africa, and Africa have the same in the Caribbean. We get to understand each other, where they can trade with each other. Africa don't need military base in Africa unless Africa going to have military base in another country, then that country can have military base in Africa. But if Africa don't have a military base in their country, why should Africans allow other country to have military base to stir up wars and to keep the people? When you look at how Africa been treated, man, the Caribbean, I see myself from a boy as an African. I wasn't born in Africa, but if my great-great-great-grandparents came from Africa, that means the African blood is in me. It's not where we were born. What Peter Touch said, from a long time we know that in Jamaica, no matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. But we let the colonizer brainwash us to say, no, you are not. Sad to say, I am an African wherever I go. I am an African. I wasn't born there, but the color of my skin tell who I am from afar. When the cops coming and pulling you up, you don't know if it's a Christian or it's a Muslim. You are what, or if you're atheist, you see as a black man, him see you as a target to shoot you. Him no care what religion you are. Him see you as somebody that shouldn't be around. And sad to say, you got some black people that think the same thing, that black people shouldn't be around. Because the colonizer taught us well. We were well trained like some dogs. You know, I visit one of my sisters and I see our dogs, them discipline. Oh my God, she have 2 dogs, and I never know that dog could so train and so discipline. You know, I admire that. I was like, wow, she got these dogs well trained. So who trained them? She said she did. Well, that's how we are trained. To sit, to move, and when to speak, when to act. Come on. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself can free your mind. Because we can't and think about atomic energy. None of them can stop the time. It's because if they try to stop the time, God will step in. We're still under divine order and leadership. God gave man the earth to dwell, but him still in control. So none of them can stop the time. Remember that. Free yourself from mental slavery. The kingdom of God suffer violence, and the violence take it by force. In 2023, only thing that we should teach our children that about Christopher Columbus discovered this and discovered that, we should say Christopher Columbus was a thief, he was a murderer, he was a wicked man. So when I talk about Columbus Day, you know that you're talking about a murderer, a thief, an evil person. Free yourself from mental slavery. None but yourself